To commence our enlightening journey today, we are honored to have with us the distinguished Professor K. Murali sir. His session on Tantra Yukti as a research methodology promises to be a fascinating exploration. Now I request Dr. Emia Arna to introduce Professor K. Murali sir.
Thank you, Dr. Banani. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. K. Murali sir. Currently, he is the Chief Editor at the Center for Textual Studies and Publication, Ayurvedishala in Kottakkal, Kerala. He retired as the Professor and Superintendent of Government Ayurveda College, Tripunithura, with a post-graduation in Kaya Chikitsa, General Medicine, from Government Ayurveda College, Thiruvananthapuram. He holds a university rank for his graduation from Vaidyaratnam Ayurveda College and has degrees in Sanskrit, Communicative English and Rehabilitation. Professor Murali, a writer for Ayurvedic journals, is the son of Padma Bhushanam Vaidya Bhushanam K. Raghavan Tirumulpada, an eminent Ayurvedic scholar and practitioner specializing in Tarkam, Jyotisham and Vyakaranam. With great pleasure, I now invite Professor K. Murali sir to podium to provide us with an introduction about Tantra Yukti.
Namaste to all respected scholars, especially Dr. J.S.R. Prasad, who invited me to this program. Let us pray to Apurva Vaidya. It is the opening sloga of Ashtanga Hridaya. Apurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. Apurva Vaidya means unique physician who could cure all the diseases without any recurrence. But he did this rare feat without any mantra or any particular magic. How he could achieve this is illustrated in the lines Ragadirogan Satatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasritan Asheshan Aulsukya Moharaditan Jakhana Yobura Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. He could understand the disease in its totality. The Ragadirogan represents the causative factors of the disease. Asheshakaya Prasritan means how the disease or the morbid factors spread throughout the body, the disease process that has happened inside the body. Aulsukya Moharaditan Jakhana, the symptomatology of the disease. So he identified the disease in its totality. So understanding every phenomenon in its totality is important, and this approach is also called systemicity. Tantra Yuktis help us to understand everything in totality. So this is a simple presentation on Tantra Yukti as a research tool. This is not a conclusive paper. This is just for a draft for discussion. You may add, you may modify, you can correct. So, Tantra Yukti, the word meaning is known to you. Tantra literally means a text, and Yukti is its design. So in total it is the textual framework Tantra Yukti means. But Tantra has different meaning as discussed yesterday with Dr. J.S.R. Prasad. In different states, Tantra has different meanings. In Kerala, the temple rituals, temple architects, all these are considered as Tantra. There is a textbook, Tantra Samuchaya, where everything about temple is described. It also means these agamas, Jaiva, as Shaiva texts, also called generally Tantra. But in Ayurveda it means generally text. Vriddha Jiva Giya Tantram. Or Paratantra Avalokana, learning from other texts. And also it means knowledge system. Tandrinde dharyande anena siddhantaha. So I think in India the text and the contents are almost used synonymously. So in Prasuti Tantram or Shalakya Tantram, Shalya Tantram is the surgical branch of Ayurveda. Shalakya Tantram means the I and ENT together in Ayurveda. So Tantra also means a knowledge system or a branch of knowledge system. So here this Tantra also means that also. Here Yukti means its formation, its genesis, its development. Yuktistu Yojana, its administration. All these are meant by Yukti. So Tantra Yukti also means design of a knowledge system, formation, genesis of a knowledge system. So that also has to be understood by the term Tantra Yukti. But generally it is a textual framework. Generally it is in several other textbooks like Arthashastra. We find it as a design of a text. So coming to a short history of Tantra Yukti, we can find it even in the Panini's Ashtadhyayi. Though he didn't identify the Tantra Yuktis, it is there. Swasamnya means technical terms. Is a Tantra Yukti. He has used several technical terms. So the cross-textual reference is also a Tantra Yukti, which is very much employed by Panini in Ashtadhyayi. Then Arthashastra, of course, very famous textbook on politics or statecraft. There also Chanakya has identified Tantra Yuktis. In the end of the text, he names the Tantra Yukti, defines it, and quotes examples from his own text. So that is also a important development in Tantra Yukti. Vishnu Dharmottara Purana is actually an Upapurana. There also it is concerned with several subjects. Even though we think it is Purana, so it is something legends. But the text is mainly on painting, art, such things, Vastu or Shilpa Shastra. These are the content of this Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. There also in the 7th chapter you find the Tantra Yukti is defined. Then Ayurveda considers Tantra Yukti of very much importance. All the commentators has quoted Tantra Yuktis, and in the end of the commentary they have written the definition and quoted the examples from Ashtanga Hridaya, especially Ashtanga Hridaya. Commentators of Charaka Samhita, commentators of Ashtanga Hridaya like Aranadatta, Indu, all have considered Tantra Yuktis of very much important. And in one commentary named Hridaya Bodhika from Kerala, maybe from in 12th century AD, he began his commentary with Tantra Yuktis. And Kerala ancient physicians have considered Tantra Yukti of very much importance, and there is a book called Tantra Yukti Vichara written by Neela Megha Bhishak, and that text is very popular still in Kerala. Even while I was attending the degree in Ayurveda, it was in the syllabus. I learned in second year, we had a paper on Tantra Yukti. Currently it has, when the national syllabus came, previously each state had a different syllabus for Ayurvedic degree, so that the regional peculiarities can be very much included in the syllabus. Now it is national syllabus. So, many things lost in the study. So, Tantra Yukti is of very less important now in the syllabus. So, let us go through some of the Tantra Yuktis which are relevant in the field of research. The origination of the idea of research is related to this samshaya and purvapaksha tantra. The definition of samshaya is that nirdharitanam arthanam avyavasthadu samshayaha. Nirdharitanam means already validated. Arthanam, principles. It is questioning the already validated principles. Avyavastha. Vyavastha means systematization. Avyavastha, the opposite. It is questioning the system of validated principles. That is called tantra. As an example, in Ayurveda, we say that Prameha, diabetes, it is a disease of overnutrition. Santarpana vyadhi, overnutrition. But that is questioned at the end of the chapter. Drishtva prameham madhiram sapicham madhupamam syad divitho vichara sandarpanadva kapasambhava syad kshineshu dosheshu anilatmagova. It can occur without overnutrition also. So that the common idea is questioned in the end of the chapter. So that is an example, quoted as an example for samshaya. Also in Tarka Sangraha, samshaya is considered as a unvalidated knowledge. Ekasmin dharmani vividha nana dharma vaishishtya avagahi jnanam samshaya. So ekasmin dharmani, in a principle or in a phenomenon, if we have several attributes which are contradictory, viruddha nana dharma vaishishtya avagahi jnanam. So that is samshaya. So the example given is, if you see something away, we can confuse it whether it is a man or a pillar. Yada sthanuhu purushaha. So that is an example, quoted as an example for samshaya. And purvapaksha is also can be an origination for a research problem. Purvapaksha is akshepa purvakaha prashnaha. Purvapaksha. Prashnaha. Again it is question. Akshepa purvakaha. It is actually questioning the validation of a particular knowledge. So in commentary, in the definition of commentary, there are commentarial literature is very much important in Indian knowledge systems. The definition of commentary is given. So in that, this akshevasya samadhan, the commentator should answer the questions raised about the book also. That also should be included in the commentary. Chalana pratyavasthaja edat vyakhyada lakshana. Chalana means shaking the stability of a theory. Pratyavastha, and stabilizing it. So that is also considered as a duty of a commentator, so that it is included in the definition or the components of vyakhyana or commentary. But there are exceptions. There are even commentaries questioning the original text, especially in Ayurveda. So that can represent the samshaya can represent a doubt, or it can be revalidation of an accepted theory, a problem faced by day-to-day affairs. That can be a research question. That also poses considered as a samshaya. More options, more hypotheses, more ideas on a particular, more definitions, more concepts on a particular phenomenon. That also can be considered, and any diverging view. All these can be cause of a origin of a research work. Then comes adhikarana. Adharo adhikaranam talparyam yatra tishtati. Adhikarana means the content or the topic or subject of a total text or a chapter or even a portion of a chapter is in the textual framework. Adhikarana means that. So here also the subject, topic, title, these can be considered as adhikarana of a research work. Finer, all of you know the feasibility, interesting, novelty, ethics, relevance, all these ideas are conceived in this Tantrayukti. Also, Anubandha Chatushtaya can be included in this topic. So, this Anubandha Chatushtaya actually relates to each and every book. Adhikari, who reads the book, to whom the book is intended to be. So that is called Adhikari, Vishayam, Prayojanam. This is also can be related to research also. Adhikari, who is doing this research. Which level it is you are doing, PhD or post-graduation, which level, that also be considered by the term this Adhikari. Vishaya, the subject, also important. Is it related to your department, or is it will it satisfy the vision and mission of the university or the department? That also can be included in Vishaya. Prayojana, purpose, applicability, use, all these can be considered as prayojana of the researcher. And sambandha, its relation to the total subject matter. The relation of the your title to the total subject can also be considered as sambandha, relation. So these are conceived by this Tantrayukti Adhikarana. Prayojana also important. Prayojana is also included in the Anubandha Chatushtaya, but it is also considered as a different Tantrayukti. In the textual framework, it is the use of language to express the ideas. Prayojanam, Anegartha Siddhi, Pada Niveshanam. But here we can consider it as the aim and objective of your research. There can be.
Is the prayojana equal to implications, or is it aims and objectives?
Objective.
Okay.
Background of the research work is also important. Vyakhyanam. Vyakhyanam, Atmanoktanam, Atmaniva, Artha Bhashanam. Elaboration of your work is conceived by this Vyakhyanam. And I think Vyakhyana has different meaning also. So, Samjna is the technical term. So, different knowledge system has different technical term. The same word may be differently used in different knowledge systems. Dosha in Ayurveda means Vada, Pitta, Kapha, the life principles. But in literature it is Kavya doshas. So same word can be, this is in modern science also, vestibule. In anatomy, architect, railway, all have this the use of this term vestibule in different meanings. So, what technical terms you are going to use should be considered while entering into a research work. Also, it has to be defined. At least a working definition has to be formed. Nirvajanam. Tatsyal nirvajanam yena vakyasya artha pradarshyate. So, it has to be defined. At least a working definition has to be formed before using it. In Ayurveda, this is a problem. Many of the terms are not at all well defined. So, the World Health Organization itself come forward to formulate a glossary of Ayurvedic terms, which is available in the internet. Also, the CCRA's Council for Research in Ayurveda, they have also launched a portal, Namaste portal, where you can see the definitions of Ayurvedic terms. So, defining the terms is also very much important. Samuchaya is actually conjunction, cha or and, A-N-D. So, literally in literature, in language, it is samuchaya means anything that joins words or sentences. Here we can take it as sampling or grouping together. Suppose we are doing some research on Aranyakas or Upanishad, we can group it. So Upanishad has a long history, and I think even in the period of Akbar also some Upanishads were written. So early Upanishads, later Upanishads, in such a way we can classify and find out the language style in different Upanishads. So grouping and this sampling is also very much necessary, whatever may be the research. Also sampling. So if suppose you are comparing the language of Brahmanas and Upanishads, you can take one Brahmana and one Upanishads and compare. So representative literature from each group, that also can be taken for comparison. That is meant by the term samuchaya. So testing and analysis also important. Testing is not so much found among the Tantra Yuktis, but the analysis is very much important. Vidhana Tantra Yukti represents a kind of analysis. Vidhana Tantra Yukti represents a kind of analysis where ananvidanam arthanam vidhanam samvidhana krit. Vidhana analyzes the contradictory viewpoints and reaches a consensus. Ananvidanam arthanam, contradictory arguments. So that should be included as an analytic point in your in the research work. Anumatam. Literally, the definition is opposite to the literally meaning of the term. Abhasya anumadam pakshan atma paksha vyavasthitihi. Rejecting the other viewpoints, emphasizing one's own point is considered as anumadam. So that also is necessary in research work, especially in the analysis of findings. So certain generalizations, samanyam, can also be found out through these Tantra Yuktis. As conclusion, we have nirnayam. Nirnaya sthavayed artham anegavitham egatha. So that also somewhat related to Vidhana Tantra Yukti. In Vidhana, we accept all the views, but in Nirnaya, we without rejecting, we establishes our own viewpoint. That is Nirnaya. Nirnaya sthavayed artham anegavitham egatha. So without rejecting, one highlights, emphasizes one's own point is conceived by the idea, Nirnaya. But in Anumata, all the other viewpoints are rejected and one point is highlighted. Then Apadesham, Egantam, Anegantam, Upadesham, all these are also important. In Eganta, Egando evameva syal, nanyathedi vyavasthitihi. Eganta is also somewhat similar to Anumatam. This is very much conclusive. No other viewpoints can be accepted. Egando evameva syat, nanyatha idi vyavasthitihi. And in Aneganda, the researcher accepts other points also. Evam va athava evameva syat. So this may be generating more hypotheses. Not conclusive. The research may not be so much conclusive. More ideas are generated. So this is meant by the term Tantrayukti Anekanta. Upadesha is Evamityupadeshaha. Very conclusive statements are considered as Upadesha. So that may be considered as a validated knowledge. So we cannot say that the Tantrayuktis are can be considered as a methodology in total. We have to adopt many things from the Vada tradition, debate in Nyaya system of philosophy, and also in Charaka Samhita we find the steps of debate. How debate should be conducted. There are two types of debates. Sandhaya Sambhashana and Vigrihya Sambhashana. In Sandhaya Sambhashanam, there is no arguments, only friendly discussion. Vigrihya Sambhasha, there is arguments. So that can be considered as a true debate. But Vigrihya Sambhasha is can become very emotional also. Vigrihya Bhasha Tivrahi Keshanchil Krodhamavahet. So Sandhaya Sambhasha, friendly discussion, is considered as ideal by Charaka Samhita. So the steps or the points of this Vada tradition also can be considered in research methodology. Especially now we have the open defense system of presentation of dissertations. So the Vada tradition can also be incorporated to formulate the Indian research methodology. So reporting is also important. Again, in the reporting or the preparation of the final document, we can incorporate these Tantrayuktis also. Adhikaranam, as mentioned earlier, it is the title or the topic or the particular subject area of the research work. And Uddesha is summary or abstract. Uddesha Samavayoktihi. Summary of the work, that also should be given. And Nirdesha Syad Vivaranam. Nirdesha is explanation. After giving a summary or abstract, we have to elaborate it. So that is conceived by the idea Nirdesham. Anagata Aveksha and Adida Aveksha. These two represents the cross-reference inside a textbook or even a dissertation. So something which is to be mentioned in later chapters, that has to be mentioned in earlier parts also. That is Anagata Aveksha, Bhavidartha Pradarshani. Also, the something mentioned in the earlier parts may be mentioned in later part of the dissertation also. So these two Tantrayuktis represent the intertextual references. That is also very much important, especially in Indian textbooks. We can learn the text. Again, we have to read. After completing the learning of a textbook, we have to learn it again. Only then we will get the idea of the content. So that is because of the sequencing, not only the sequencing, but the textual references are so many in Indian textbook. So that also has to be considered while preparing a dissertation or the final outcome of the research. So to conclude, we can find many components of research methodology in Tantrayuktis, and we have to consider these while formulating a particular unique Indian research methodology. By learning Tantrayukti, we can also understand our knowledge systems evolved in a very systemic and scientific way. So we have to do further research work in Tantrayuktis, comparing the definition from different textbooks, different textbook, even the same Tantra Yukti is defined differently in textbooks. So all the definitions has to be compared, and the ideal one can also be taken. And in some Tantra Yuktis, several definitions are also important. That also has to be considered, especially in this Tantra Yukti Vichara of Neelamekha Bhishak of Kerala origin. Many of the Tantra Yuktis are defined in a very different way that of earlier texts. So all the definitions has to be collected, and the relevant ones can be incorporated in the research methodology. So this much on Tantra Yuktis. Any further discussions we can have?
Sir, on the slide about conclusions, on the slide on conclusions, can you please elaborate again on what is Nirnaya, what is Ekanta, and what is Upadesha? How they are, the subtle difference between these three. And I have another question on Anekanta. So, we have titled this slide as conclusion, but Anekanta looks like conclusion itself is to be inconclusive. Is that how we should be looking at Anekanta?
Conclusion can be non-conclusive also. Different opinions, different in a research work where you are maybe concluded with several hypotheses. So there are research works for hypothesis generation also. So several hypotheses can be generated by research work also.
Okay. It is like we have multiple conclusions based on it. It is not inconclusive, but it is
yeah.
On Nirnaya and Ekanta and Upadesha.
Ekanta is more Ekanto evam evasyal. This is conclusive, more conclusive.
How is it different from Nirnaya and Upadesha?
Nirnaya sthapedartham anegavitham egatha. So there are contradictory statements, so that it has to be concluded into one. So considering all the findings, after discussing all the findings, if you reach one conclusion, that is considered as that process is represented by Nirnaya.
But we have arrived at one single conclusion that can as well be considered as Ekanta, right?
Ekanta is not considering other viewpoints. Any contradicting findings is not there. So conclusion is reached. Wherever there are so many contradictory findings, so by discussing we have to reach a particular conclusion.
I just want to clarify whether my understanding is right. These are the different kinds of conclusions that are possible in a dissertation or a thesis.
Yes.
So there can be a combination of some of them, there can be just one. Have I understood it right?
Yes.
Right.
Combinations can.
Thank you. So my question is very broad. What is the difference between research methodology in modern medicine and Ayurveda?
Oh, that is a very difficult question. Research methodology in Ayurveda and modern medicine.
The method of debates is not held in modern medicine or modern research methodology. So, what other differences can we find in both the knowledge systems?
It is not an easy question, but coming to the Karya-Karana relation. So that is the problem of research. But in Ayurveda, the modern medicine, I think, is pinpointing to a single cause. But Ayurveda is, we are having this Samavai Karanam, Samavai Karanam, Nimitta Karanam, and several other causes, Bahyam, Abhyantaram. So the Karanas are also have classified differently. So all the causative factors has to be considered in research. We cannot pinpoint to just a germ or just a microbe. That is one point. So medicine also, coming to the medicine, they are concentrating on the drug. In Ayurveda, Aushadhanya Viharanam Upayoga Sukhavaha. So the lifestyle, Aushadham, Annam, Vihara. Annam is food, Viharam is other activities, and Aushadham. These three are the components of a treatment. So drug is only 1/3 of the treatment. So this Annam and Viharam we are implementing in the form of Pathya and Abhathya. So that also has to be incorporated in research. Just giving drug is not enough. But modern medicine people says that drug has to be investigated without Pathya. So Pathya may interfere with the action of the drug. It may also be contributing the positive effect of the drug. So, but I feel that without giving drug without Pathya is unethical. So these are some points.
Sir, also with respect to debate, is the component of data compilation and statistics included in any kind of, suppose we, yesterday sir talked about survey research. So in survey, in IRM, do we consider statistics also as part of it? Or is it only data that is collected?
I don't have much understanding whether statistics is available in Indian knowledge systems. So I cannot answer. I'm afraid I cannot answer to that question.
Anybody else who might have, sir?
Sir, with your permission, I would like to add this point to Gayatri's question. In fact, in the Parardhanumana, in Nyaya, we have this Panchavaya Vakyam, the 5 different syllogisms, Pratijna, Hetu, Udaharana, Upanaya, and Nigamana. Pratijna is the research statement, Hetu, by which you are going to achieve that particular statement. Then Udaharana, there the sample comes. You talk about sampling, definitely this statistics make a sense, I believe. Such a way, you are compiling all these resources together into the 4th, that is called Upanaya Vakya. Upanaya is something like you are abstracting it again. If you look into the popular example like Parvato Vaniman, the hill is fiery. How do you know this? Because Dhumavatvat, you are looking at the smoke. Smoke is the linga, that is a hetu. And when you come to the udaharana, as a novice person, I don't know why this person is asking me to believe that there exists fire on the mountain. And I'm showing the cause, the hetu over there. But just by one instance, can I believe? I should have more number of instances. That is why I'm bringing udaharana, that is an example or sample over there. So my experience says, of course, nowadays we use LPG, etc. in cooking. Those days they are using firewood. The smoke comes automatically. This man went to the kitchen and observed many times the occurrences of existence of fire by looking into the smoke. Such a way that I am showing as a sample. That is within my own experience. So probably that may add to this question on statistical approach, not only data collection. I may be corrected if there is
Sir,
some.
1 second, sir.
Prasad sir, I think you wanted to say.
Namaste, sir. So I was just recollecting about the definition of Siddhantam while you were explaining all these things. That parikshagaihi bahuvidham parikshya hedubhischa sadhayitva idam itham idi nishchidahartha siddhantaha. So in that bahuvidha pariksha and hedubhihi sadhayitva cha. So obviously I think anything which is helpful in that aspect can be included. And it should be inferred that it was included. So I think definitely that and serious attempt to avoid any possibility of bias was taken for granted. Any attempt, because before coming, because ideally as pararthanumanam at the end of the day we should come to some sort of a siddhantam. It is as of now it is concluded that until otherwise proved, it is taken for granted that this is going to be the siddhantam. And in the formation of Siddhantam, this parikshagaihi bahuvidham parikshya hedubhischa sadhayitva. So that is very important. I think that gives that shade of meaning. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir. 1 second here, please. Yeah. So the question was about statistics, right? But the statement that you told about Udaharana, there is just a general case of induction only. So I think the question was about the actual mathematical methods, like.
I will just stop you. It's not just induction. There is reduction also.
Yeah,
both inductive and deductive reasoning is there in this.
That's okay, but about that, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. It is through induction only, right?
The first 3 sentences
that is in the syllogism.
That is in the inductive method.
That is
last 2 coming in the deductive method. It's a blend of both.
That is in the syllogism, the whole syllogism.
Yes.
But how Nyaya arrives at a general conclusion, that is through induction, right?
No.
Through Samanya Lakshana.
Induction, there is a chance of flaw in the premises itself. Here it doesn't happen at all, because you have the experiences, perfect experiences. In all cases, it must be true. Unlike all Popper says.
But how they derive the general conclusion is not by experiencing all the instances.
That is why, yes, right? You are correct. That is why they bring a particular thing called class, jati.
Samanya Lakshana perception also is there.
You are right.
So the question is, in that we are not using the actual mathematical calculations like mean, mode or median, something like that. Estimation is not there. So I just wanted to know.
That is a quantification, right?
Yeah.
That
so I just wanted to know.
Maybe related to statistical approach
whether any
also.
such references are there in any of the texts regarding the estimation, actual estimation.
Yes.
In any text.
Actually, they speak broadly. Just now, sir was mentioning about parikshakahi bahuvidham pariksha. Several examples, several investigations happened. Several experiences of several people. Now we come to a conclusion. Unlike Karl Popper's all swans are white. This is a swan. This is white in color. And all swans are making a general statement. But ultimately, I got one flaw that I have got a single instance, a black swan. So my entire hypothesis become false.
Sir, in that survey research, we use some of the methods, right? Then only from the data we will get to the conclusion. Yes. If we are not getting enough data or enough calculations through the data, then we won't arrive at that conclusion. So I just wanted to know whether any references, if anybody knows, in any of the Sanskrit text regarding the estimation process or something like that. If such references are there, that would be more helpful.
No, if at all exists, that must exist in Ayurvedic Samhitas only, not in other darshanas itself. Darshana Nyaya is a darshana. It talks about this analyzation, but definitely Sanskrit Ayurvedic Samhitas must be having. Sir,
maybe some number of instances or something like that, sir. Like if you have this much instances, then you can conclude. Otherwise, no. In that way, any such references, that would be helpful.
That's what I was just trying to inform you. Jati. If I say, no, there is no pot here in this hall. Absence of pot is observed here. That doesn't mean the universal absence of that pot. That's why they bring a concept called jati, class. That is eternal. If you try to apply this concept, then definitely that number requirement will go. Jati, that class category always exists. The individual may go. In this place, I am seeing the absence of a pot or an elephant or whatever it is. It doesn't mean universally it is absent. That way they try to quantify the knowledge. So the way you try to approach this system may be little different than what we speak with these examples.
Maybe, but still, when you talk about the Nyaya system's
Yes.
concept of universal,
Yes.
that itself is constrained by other systems also. So I think if we are looking at it from the current perspective,
Yes.
we need more evidences to say
That's why
the
I'm
method.
telling.
That's
You have to step into our shoes. Unless you accept this, you cannot realize the importance. For example, if I have not read the Bible and try to criticize Bible or try to show some flaws in that, first of all, I should read it. The same with other religions who is criticizing Gita. First of all, you wear the shoes, see whether it is size is fitting or not, they are comfortable. Then you can try to review and comment. This is my feeling. I think that openness is first of all required to accept anything that is good in other systems. Kalidasa says, Purana mityeva nasatu sarvam, nachapi kavyam navamityavatyam. Just because something is what, don't denounce, don't adore it. Same time, nachapi kavyam navamityavatyam. Just something is very modern, don't denounce it. It will be good in both senses. Such a way, I think my request to you is, and the people who think like this, please try to understand this. Then see, as said in Gita, Vimarisha edat aseshena, yadhechasi tatha kuru.
I think you have misunderstood my question. Actually,
No,
I am
I
doing
got it,
research
but
in
at the
Nyaya
same time-
argumentation method only.
No, I'm trying to say, this is how they deal with the universals. If you are open and trying to understand that, then you can appreciate. Otherwise, me or anybody else cannot convince you. That's what I mean to say. Hope I'm clear.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The question he was asking, like what he wants to ask, suppose like we know, like our parents used to say, if you have dandruff, use lemon, apply lemon. So how did they arrive at that conclusion that applying lemon will remove, like it will act on dandruff? So there has to be some data, like they must have tried. So whether is the data, how that data is analyzed, how that conclusion is, that part where I think they are what is they are asking. So I think only, as far as I know, only trial and error method is used in Ayurveda or other texts. So, but trial and error method is only one statistical method only. So, in modern, like in current modern research, there are many statistical methods, there are many econometric analysis, and there are many other statistical ways also. I think that's the point they are trying to ask, like that. Even that, my question also, how the data is analyzed, what are the process methods of analyzing the data to arrive at a conclusion? That's the question. Like, so yeah, so like even many other for many diseases, many herbs and other spices are recommended as food, as you are saying, another food, and how the food impacts the disease. Like, how do you arrive at the conclusion that for this disease, this kind of food is should be eaten, so that that disease will be cured or so healed? So that as a conclusion, the data part of it is the question. Like, how are they arriving? Like, how only this food is helping? I mean, help in such particular disease. So that's the question.
And I also think that it is some methodology may be there for data analysis,
Yeah.
but it is missing in text. Perhaps it may be orally transferred, not documented. That also can be.
Sir, can I ask? Sir, my name is Jaya. I'm a research scholar in philosophy. I'm doing my research in the University of Kerala. One of my question is how we can apply or use the method you mentioned in Tantrayukti as a tool while reading and articulating a philosophical text in Indian system, especially a Purvamamsa system. And my another question is, you mentioned about intertext intertextual references. So can you suggest any book in the same? It's for my reference purpose. Thank you, sir.
So intertextual, some examples I can give. In Adhisara Chikitsa, it is not mentioned one should take water very less. That is not mentioned in Adhisara Chikitsa. But in the context of the Adhisara Chikitsa is mentioned in Chikitsa Sthana. But in Sutra Sthana, in the context of water, mentioning the properties of water, it is mentioned to take less water in odema, swellings. So that is mentioned. But in Chikitsa, it is not mentioned. So while doing Chikitsa, while learning Chikitsa, one has to look or learn that part also. So in such a way, cross references are required while learning. So by learning Adhisara Chikitsa itself will not equip one to treat Adhisara. So in Prameha Chikitsa, many things are mentioned in about in Annavijnaniyam, properties of different food materials are mentioned. That has to be learned while taking into consideration the treatment also. So that is one example. So similarly, in giving Shodhana Chikitsa, means purification of the body. So that is mentioned in Sutrasthana, but it's how it should be implemented in the context of a particular disease is mentioned in portion. So preparation of medicine is mentioned in Kalpasthana. So all this should be learned together, and it is but jnanamshena nahi jnanam krisne jneye pravartate. So one should learn the whole text and again learn each chapter again. Then only we'll have a complete idea of the subject. That was your second question. First question I don't remember.
How we can apply or use the methods mentioned in community as a tool while we articulating and reading philosophical texts.
Purvamamsa. I don't have much idea about. So that is a different topic. I have mentioned the Tantrayuktis as a research tool, but it should be learned as a design of the text. That is same Tantrayukti but different version. I can suggest books.
Hello, sir. I had one question. So, I think this one was related to the slide number which dealt with testing and analysis. So, my first question would be, I was not sure what are the differences and how do you draw the line between Vidhana, Hetuvarta and Anumata. One question. Now, the second one would be, I did read here that testing is not included in Tantra Yukti. Okay. So,
that also answers his question, maybe.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So, while you're analyzing a text, I would like to know how would you disprove or suppose reject a knowledge system that's already existing? Like, how would you prove that what I am saying is right and what someone else said might not be right? Like, how do you prove it by some statistical data or maybe some logical flaws you point out? Like, how do you actually disprove something that has already been there by presenting your own research?
Oh, that. So that is not a part of Tantra Yukti. So it is with your findings you are using. How to use that your finding is mentioned in Tantra Yuktis.
So what are the differences between Vidhana?
Difference between?
Vidhana, Hetuvarta and Anumata.
Different contract. Anega Vitham. Different. Artham. Principles or findings. Egatha. In a single point. So considering the different contradictory views, we have to reach a single standpoint. That is Nirnaya. Vidhanam ananvidhanam arthanam vidhanam samvidhanakar. Vidhana is reaching a consensus without rejecting. We can reach. That is vidhana.
And
Hetvartha, I think it is something different. Hetvartho hedunaiva syal tattadartha prakashanam. So, effect is mentioned by the cause itself. Hetvartho hedunaiva syal, that is a way of communication. So we will call even the ornament is also called gold. So actually the gold is the cause and the ornament is the effect. Karana is gold and Karya is the ornament. But in Vyavahara, in communication, we may say the ornament also, we may say gold. So that is a mode of communication. So that is Hetvartha. Anumata is rejecting others' views.
so you don't reach a consensus. It's like opposite Vidhana.
But there is another definition for Anumata. Paramadam apradishitham Anumatam. According to Chanakya, in Arthashastra it is mentioned. We are not rejecting, we are accepting others' view. So that is Anumata.
Sir, in the reporting slide, you mentioned the Anagata Viksha and Atita Viksha. Please elaborate it, not clear.
Anagata Viksha is Bhavidartha Pradarshani. So, something which will be mentioned in later texts may be referred in earlier parts of a text. So, that is Anagatam. Anagatam is yet to come, Anagatam. So, something may be elaborated in later texts that may find some reference in earlier part of the text also. That is Anagata Veksha. The opposite is Adhita Veksha. Something already elaborated may have to be mentioned in later part also. So, this means actually intertextual references.
Only one text, something is mentioned after.
Yeah. Okay.
Mentioned before.
Okay.
No, I'm audible. But for recording, I'll do this. See, supposing I'm writing a thesis, and I mean, in from our perspective, let's say that in my second chapter in the literature review, I put something in, and normally what we do is we give back referencing. Let's say in chapter 4, when I refer to something that I have got in literature review for my analysis, I say, for a detailed discussion, please see chapter 2, this section. That is the norm that we follow. But you said other texts.
No. In the same intertextual references or
intratextual. Can we call it intratextual then?
Yeah.
At the same time, but then, see, I mean, those two terms are known to us, but not the rest. So, I'm just asking for a clarification. So, we also talk about the whole idea of intertextual references as part of which is what makes writing what we call the literature review very difficult. I mean, I'm sorry, this is not for you, but see, when most of us and most of our students write their literature review, A said this, B said this, C said this, D said this, discussion is one way of writing. And it is very boring. It is also possible to take arguments that you want from other texts and show your perspective on them. And weave your argument using other people's arguments, because somewhere you quote unquote have to show that you have read all this. See, I have an argument of my own, and if I stand and say this is what I believe in, give me a degree, I won't get a degree, I won't get published. So we have to use and say, see, I've read that, I've read this. And in, can I call it Western, or the systems that we follow in Western style of writing, that is the only thing that has been called intertextuality. But you are talking about something very different. So could you please explain a little more about what you see as this distinction between intra and intertextuality? My apologies, I came late. I did not get the other slides. I was anyway going to request you to share a copy of those slides. But intertextuality, what would you see as the difference? Can you explain?
So, intra means between text or inside text?
Inside one text. Okay.
Inter means between text.
Between text.
Here, intra text is mentioned by this Tantra Yukti. So, all the portions are related. So, in such a way, it is all the texts are written in Indian knowledge systems. So, by learning a single chapter, you will not have a clear understanding of the content. The whole text has to be referred to learn a single content of a single chapter. So, that is a method of writing, which is, I think, not found in modern books. So, the problem now with the internet is that we are typing some particular point and knowing a single limited part of a knowledge or information. So, while going to the library and reading a book, we will go through the different chapters, in which context it is mentioned, everything we will learn. But because of this internet, we are pinpointing and not understanding its context and background. That is a problem.
Can I ask one more doubt? And then you have a hand. See, again, I'm staying with this intra and intertextuality. Tantra Yukti has spoken about it. So has it spoken about it as a good norm for writing?
All the text is written in such a way. All the in such a way, so we have to keep it in our mind while reading a text.
Okay. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. So there was some discussion on statistical analysis. So in my limited reading of Arthashastra, so there is a very robust mechanisms of statistical methods mentioned. Like Acharya Chanak talks about how to calculate the banking interest rate, what should be the rate of quantitative easing with respect to currency in the market, and how the taxation rate should be set. So there are very robust mechanisms, and if anybody wants to read, I would recommend Kautilyanomics book by Balasubramaniam ji, in which he has detailed about all these statistical methods. So coming to my question, so you mentioned about to have a sense of Purva Paksha, and one of the Pramanas is the Shabda Pramanas. So if one way to enter in Vada discourse, and if I critique a Shabda Pramana of another philosophical thought, so is it a recommended practice? Because I do not have the adhikara to debate with that. So should I negate Shabda Pramanas, or that line of argument should not be used in a Vada Parampara?
I think Shabda Pramana we can discuss afternoon.
Yesterday we had about different Pramanas. So Shabda Pramanas was also mentioned.
Afternoon I will dealing with Pramanas also.
Okay, sir.
But the statistics of Arthashastra differs from the data analysis, I think.
Just
just to add something I was about to add, this Arthashastra, as he referred about it. Yeah, obviously the main point is we have, like currently what we are doing, the data collection, the way of presenting the data, the numericals, that is completely different. We don't follow the Indian, we have something called Vedic mathematics as well. So whatever we were having, for example, there is a text, Ganit Prasar Sangrah. It's by Mahavir Acharya, I guess. So one of these texts where we have mentioned, we found some mentioning about weighted means. So for example, we have in West, we used to have, there are different kind of means also. There are different methods for modes, medians. So there are numerical. Yes, that is.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. So, how much of this has been incorporated while debates were conducted or statements were made in Ayurveda? Like he had pointed out, when you're saying this diet is prescribed for this condition, based on what are you telling that? Is it just one case report that you're building that, or is it based on several cases? How many cases have been studied and statistics derived from that? So, no doubt that we have the methods, but how much was it applied in Ayurveda versus modern medicine? That was my question. I'm not contesting that we do not have the methods. How much was it applied on, or based on what did they debate? Matlab, if you have to debate, you need some proof, right? So, proof ke liye kya tha? What was the...
Yeah, I'll just try to... The discussion was going on... about first, actually the question started with any references of statistical application in our ancient literature. That was the first question, if I remember correctly. See, whatever and now what exactly they want to know, it has come out. See, we are talking about the medicines development in our ancient times. Taking Charaka Samhita, Shushrita Samhita and all, we have treatment, well-defined and well-proved treatment in all these texts. The basic question is how they have concluded that this is working for general population and it's the larger population. That is the basic question. And it was answered in the discussion. See, unless there is a data collection and unless there is different pramanas, nothing is concluded. And these sciences were developed over a unaccounted period. Nobody knows the period also. Even periods are researched and different opinions are there about different texts. So, I cannot just blindly say Charaka or Sushruta has taken only 5 pramanas or 3 pramanas of these Sanskrit literature and concluded that this drug works for this disease. So these are all proven treatments, and now we are asking for the proof. Now coming to the modern medicine, I want to see statistics. You all know the greatest statement. The statistics is a big lie. Agreed? The average itself is a big lie. If you take a Gaussian curve, it can be fat like me or it can be lean like you. If it is lean, it's good. If it is fat, it gives more non-correlation and more lies. If the average of this gathering is, if I say 6 feet, nobody will be having that height of 6 feet. So fallacies are here also in the modern science also. But the basic question is whether the statistics type of any tool was there available in our ancient literature. That was the basic question for our youngsters to understand. If it is available, they will be very happy to compare. They don't blindly accept even if that is. See, for example, in Tantra Yukti, one word is there, Pradesha. Pradesha is nothing but sampling, if I understand properly. So the sampling is there. So like that, here in this Tantra Yukti, various techniques are discussed, how the investigated or research oriented data is presented in the to communicate to the other scholars. Okay, coming to the again, for example, even if you homeopathy has taken, proving method was used to collect the data. So how many provers were used? Dr. Hahnemann only, it's not documented. He might have taken 100 provers or 1000 provers to test a drug. But here, even if you take the example of corona vaccine, Pfizer has used 1000 volunteers. Our Serum Institute has used only 500 volunteers. But the efficacy was is not proved, of course. It's again a wrong statement for me to say the corona vaccine efficacy is proved. But as coming to the adverse reactions, our Serum Institute Bharat Biotech vaccine is proved more safer than the Pfizer vaccine. So like that, now that is why our scholars were telling the youngsters should first read the literature. Of course, unfortunately, it was answered in between. Lot of literature is not available for us for the proofs.
Documentation.
I mean,
that's what I understood.
Documentation.
It's not that it's not. It's a lie. It's true, but the documentation was not done.
So. Not available. It's destroyed. Yesterday, a madam was.
That also could be.
Actually, see, the objective of this workshop is, as I understood, I am explaining. One thing is, what is the area where we can just step into and find out what is available in our ancient literature. Whether it is Sanskrit, of course, we are from Sanskrit background, we have taken up this all, but even in Tamil, Malayalam, everywhere. That means blindly don't say that modern research methodology is the best. It has the fallacies, and it's proved that it can be again condemned, rejected, and we can prove that. That is even an ancient science also is like that. That's why Vada and all it is there. So statistical references, documentation is there, but what I just wanted to say and conclude is, unless it is the entire data is collected and it is analyzed, nothing is concluded. As Anirudh rightly said, that only thing is we don't have a correlation coefficient type of thing in our document, or you don't have 6 sigma type of 1 million one. These things are not available or not traceable. And if you put your time, they may be traceable also. I don't know. Thank you.
Now, moving to our next felicitation program, I now request Professor J. Sir Prasad Sir to kindly felicitate our invited speaker, Professor K. Murali Sir.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Now I'll invite Professor K. Murali sir, and he will give a talk on Pramanas as research methodology. So please give a round of applause for Murali sir.
So again, my prostrations to Abhurva Vidya. I used to explain this sloga according to the context. So in the afternoon, here Abhurva Vidya could cure all the diseases because he used all the Pramanas to understand disease. So even while assessing a single phenomenon, we have to use several Pramanas. So in the sloga we can see Raga Adi Rogan, the causative factors. That has happened earlier to the manifestation of the disease. So we cannot perceive it now. So it is only with Pramana we can understand the causative factors. Similarly, Aulsukya Moha Araditan Jakhana. This shows the fatal signs of diseases. That is about to happen. And the manifestations, of course, are perceivable in the present time period itself. So to assess the disease in totality, we have to use a number of pramanas. Not a single pramana may not be enough to have a total understanding of the diseases. So all the scholars following any knowledge system have to have a good idea about the pramanas. So, next slide. So, I am presenting something for discussion. So, this is not a conclusive, and this is just for a discussion purpose I am presenting. I am not well versed in all the pramanas, but this is also a learning experience for me. Actually, J.S.R. Prasad asked me to present more than one paper. So I was compelled to do it. So whatever knowledge I have, I am presenting before you. So this is a definition for research given by one professor of Ayurveda, Dr. P.V. Sharma. Karyakarana bhavasya dravyanam gunakarmanoho parikshya sthapanam samyak anusandhanam uchyate. So Karyakarana bhavasya, so cause-effect relationship, which was already explained in the forenoon session by Dr. M. Prasad, understanding the Karya, Karana and its relationship is behind each and every research. Even though we are doing a review of a literature also, we are doing this Karyakarana relation. Why this book was written, how it influenced the later literature. In such a way, we are discussing or inquiring into the cause-effect relationship. So each and every research is actually an inquiry into the Karya Karana Bhava. So then Dravyana Gunakarmano. In the context of Ayurveda, this Dravya means anything, any substance which is used as food or drug is defined as Dravya in Ayurveda. So Dravya has got the properties and action. Gunam, karma. Karma here means action in the body. Parikshya sthapanam. Samyak anusandhanam uchyate. Parikshya, after experimentations and observation, sthapanam, theorization, is called research. Here anusandhanam is a term for research. Sandhanam, in Ayurveda it means joining. Pranasandhanam. Sandhanam hyasya shonitam. When a wound becomes chronic and if the margins are very thickened, then in treatment what we do is they scrap the boundaries of the wound and make them bleed, and that blood itself will heal the wound. Sandhanam hyasya shonitam. So sandhanam is joining. So we are adding something to the existing knowledge, joining to the existing, something to the existing knowledge. Also, Sandhana Kalpana, all of you are aware of Arishtas and Asava. That preparation of Arishtasava is called Sandhanam. So the medicines are put in boiled water and it is tied airtight, and it kept in a particular temperature for a period of 2 weeks or 1 month. Then we are adding a particular flower called dhadaki. So that will cause some fermentation, and some alcoholic is generated. So it becomes Arishta or Asava. So that is also called sandhanam, sandhana kalpana. So something new is generated. So that also can be attributed to research, anusandhanam. Then anveshanam. Anu means after something. Inquiry after something. That also can be considered as synonymous. Paryeshanam. Pari means surrounding. We are not pinpointing to a particular phenomena or a particular point. Whatever encompassing it, that also has to be inquired. So the meaning, so the synonym paryaveshanam. Gaveshanam, that term is mostly used in Malayalam, Gaveshanam, for research. Go means the five senses, indriyas. Without indriyas, we cannot do any work. So another meaning added is go also means cow. So in ancient times, cows are allowed to gaze in the forests, and the evening the owner will come and fetch for the cow. Missing cows are searched out. So similarly in research also we are looking for the missing links. So Gaveshanam has both these meaning. Shodha, it is purification, a method of purifying the knowledge systems. So all these synonyms add different perspectives of research. Next slide. With the research, what we get is pramanam, pramakaranam, pramanam. Prama is real knowledge or valid knowledge. The means of valid knowledge is called pramanam. So, what are the features of prama? Prama is, it should be anadhigata vishayam, anadhigatam, not known so far. It should be something new, something innovative. Only then we can say that it is, the outcome of the research should be something new. Only then we can say that the research is fruitful. Then abadhitam. It should not be contradicted by future observations. So it should withstand the test of time. So that is abadhitam. Yathartham. Yathartham literally it is interpreted as real. But my father used to interpret it as yatha arthaya. Artham means purpose. The outcome of the research should have some purpose. Only then we can say that the research is successful. Some more arthakriya karitvam are also added by Buddha philosophies. Artham is also purpose, kriya is action. Avisambadi is also a term. Avisambadi is used, I think, in Yoga Sutra. This term Avisambadi is used. Buddha text, Bauddhic text interpreted this Avisambadi as Arthakriya Karitvam. It should have some purpose and Kriya Karitvam. It should have some application also. Only then the prama or valid knowledge can be considered as or the knowledge can be considered as valid. Then what are the components of research? Pramada, Pramana, Prameya, Pramidhi, Pariksha, Siddhanta and Anvisha. Pramada, the researcher. So researcher, the characteristics or features of researcher are very well mentioned in the textbook of research methodologies. In Ayurveda, the researcher should understand the subject very well. So that in Charaka it is mentioned that Jnana Purvakam hi karmanam samarambhaha. Without a proper understanding, one should not indulge in any action, any application. Sthirachitta prashantatma manasaja visharada. That is mentioned in the context of Nadi Pariksha in Yogaratnagara. Before doing the examination of pulse, the Vaidya should be sthira chitta, stable in mind, prashantatma, calm, manasaja visharada. So should be knowledgeful enough to perform the procedure. So that also applies to a researcher. Then pramana is always important. Pramana and prameya, both are interlinked. According to the prameya, we have to use the pramana. Prameya means what is to be inquired, what is to be explored. So different subject knowledge systems have different prameyas. So they evolve different pramanas to understand or to explore that prameyas. So in adindriya samanyadastu drishtal adindriyanam prathitir anumanat tasmadapicha siddham aparoksham aptagamal siddham. Samanyadastu drishtam. What we can directly observe, for that pratyaksham pramanam is enough. So if anything is beyond our senses, adindriyanam pratitir anumana. If anything is beyond our senses, we have to use anumanam. Charaka particularly says that pratyaksham hi alpam analpam aprathyaksham. With pratyaksham, what we can perceive is very limited, and beyond that there are so many things to be assessed. Asmadabija asiddham. If we cannot perceive some phenomena with pratyaksham or anumanam, we have to depend upon this aptobadesha. That also a pramana which I will try to explain. Pramidhi is the outcome of the research. So outcome of the research is can be equated with the features of prama or yathartha jnana. Pariksha can be considered as the application of the outcome in a real world situation or in another situation. Siddhanta is what is derived from different researchers. So different researchers on a same topic may be concluded as a Siddhantam. So Siddhantam, one definition of Siddhanta was already explained by Dr. Prasad. Siddhantam nama yaha parikshagaihi bahuvitham parikshya hedubhihi stapayitva hedubhihi sadhayitva stapyate nirnayaha. Parikshagaihi, researches. Bahuvitham parikshya, differently experimenting differently. Different ways, by different methods, different designs. Hedubhihi sadhayitva, explained with enough evidences or proofs. Stapyate nirnayaha, concluding a particular a conclusion, having a very stable conclusion. That is Siddhantaha. It also can be interpreted as Ande Siddhaha, Siddhantaha. Ande Siddhaha. What we get final. Andaha means final, in the last. What we get at the last, in the final of several experiments can also be termed as Siddhanta. Then Anviksha is interpreted as revalidation. The same Siddhanta has to be validated again and again to make it foolproof. So these are the components of the research. Also we should understand what is aprama. Prama we have explained. What is aprama? That also we should know. Samshayaha tarkaha viparyaha tarkaha. These three are considered as aprama. Here samshayam can be doubt, literally translated. Earlier in the morning I have explained it as a Tantrayukti where Nirdharidanam Arthanam Avyavasthatu Samshayaha. But another definition which is given in Arthashastra of Chanakya is Ubhayato Heduman Samshayaha. We had 2 or 3 hypotheses in the beginning of the research work, but we got proof for all of these hypotheses. So Ubhayato Hetuman. So that cannot be considered as a valid knowledge. So there can be some research where several hypotheses are generated. So this can be considered as samshaya. Viparya is actually an error. Error can occur in research due to a lack of well-formed design or bias. Anything can contribute to error in research. So then it cannot be considered as Prama. Tarka is actually an imaginary assumption. Vyapyarobena vyapakaropakaha tarkaha. So imaginary assumption. We are attributing something which is not there. That is considered as tarkaha. So uddeshaha, lakshanam, pariksha. These 3 which are mentioned in Nyaya Sutra also very much related to research. Uddeshaha namathayena padarthamatrasya abhitanam. Naming something, naming a phenomenon is considered as uddeshaha. Lakshanam, describing or defining the phenomenon. Uddishtasya tattva vyavachedako dharmaha. How it can be differentiated from similar phenomena can be considered as lakshanam. Pariksha means lakshidasya yatha lakshanam upapadyate vedi pramaneira avadharanam. Whether that definition is applicable to another situation, in another situation. That is called pariksha. Here, this can occur in modern research also. Namathayena padarthamatrasya abhidanam. In the case of insulin, actually before the discovery of insulin, scientists perceived that there is something in the body that corrects the carbohydrate metabolism, and they named it as insulin before identifying the secretion. And only after that, 100 years ago, at the Toronto University, insulin was separated from a dog's pancreas. Then it was subjected to several experiments by which they could identify all the properties of insulin. Lakshanam, uddishtasya tattva vyavachedako dharmaha. How it differs from all other hormones. Then it was used in treatment. So this is the process of any research. Uddesham, lakshanam and pariksha. So similarly, Charaka says that aushadham jnanabhijnanam nama rupa gunais tribhihi. So aushadha has to be, a drug has to be, or a medicinal plant should be understood in 3 ways. Namam, name of the plant, and rupam, the morphological features or identifying features of the plant, and gunam, its properties, including the karma, its action. So this is the process of, even in drug research also, this is the process. Then in pariksha, there are several pariksha. Shastra pariksha, Guru pariksha, Shishya pariksha are also mentioned. The guide has to be tested. Whether he qualified to be a guide, that is also important. So Charaka in Roga Bishakjadiya chapter elaborates the essential characteristics, essential qualities of a teacher, a student, and also a text. So there are Guru Shastra Pariksha, Guru Pariksha, and Shishya Pariksha. In Shishyopanayaniya chapter, in Ashtanga Sangraha, and also in Susruta Samhita, the qualities of student is a disciple, he is mentioned. Shanmarthanushitaha. So nowadays we have the probation period only when we get a job. But in ancient period, the probation period was in the student period. So only after 6 months of living together, the Guru will accept one as a Shishya. So these are also was in the process. Similarly, nowadays also it is necessary to impose some qualifications to guide student or everything, institution. All these are very much necessary. Pariksha also means Pramanaihi Artha Avadharanam Pariksha. Pramanaihi, using the Pramanas, Artha Avadharanam, understanding a particular principle or understanding a particular phenomenon is considered as Pariksha. Pramanaihi Artha Avadharanam Pariksha. So in Ayurveda we have several types of Pariksha. Yoga Pariksha, Yogi Pariksha is already mentioned by Dr. Prasad in the forenoon session. Yogi has to be examined. Yoga has to be examined how far it is manifested in the body, individual's body, is Yoga Pariksha. Yogi Pariksha is how far it affected the body. So that is implied in Yogi Pariksha. So there are other types of Pariksha also. Dashavidha Pariksha. Dushyam, Desham, Balam, Kalam, Manalam, Pragatim, Vaya. So all these are features of an individual body. Similarly, Ashtasthana Pariksha. Nadi, Mutram, Malam, Jihva, Shabdam, Sparsham, Drik, Akriti. So these are the points where diseases are manifested visibly. So these points are also, in that way, there are several systems of examination. So all that conclude in the term, conceived in the term Pariksha. So similarly, we should have in literary research also. Suppose we are taking the features of Upanishad. What are the features of Upanishad? That has to be understood by research. And these same features of syllabus, features of Upanishad, we will apply in another unknown text. Then we can identify whether it is an Upanishad or it is an Brahmana or it is it an Aranyaka. In such a way, the Pramanaihi Arthavadharanam can be applied in any field of research. So among the Pramanas, Upadesha or Aptopadesha is first one. Aptopadesha can be considered as Apta. The Upadesha of Apta, the sayings or the knowledge or the Upadesha or the utterance of an Apta is considered as Aptopadesha. So several definitions of Apta is also available. Aptastu Yathartha Vakta, who tells only the truth, is considered, validated knowledge is considered as Apta. Then another definition, Rajastamobhyam Nirmuktaha Tabojnana Belene Esham Trigalam Amalam Jnanam Avyahadam Svada. Such detailed definitions of Apta are also available in different textbooks. Their knowledge is unbiased. Rajastamobhyam Nirmuktaha. They don't have any Rajas or Raga or Dvesha. So they are unbiased. Tabojnana Belenaya. They have the tabas and jnanam. The strength of both tabas and jnanam. So in such a way, several descriptions on Apta are also available in different textbooks. So this is also called Shabda Pramana, because in earlier the oral tradition was existed in earlier periods. So it is also called Shabda Pramana. Shruti, we hear, we learn by hearing. So it is also called Shruti also. Agamaha is the term which is preferred by Ayurvedic Acharyas. Agama means arrival, literally means arrival. So the knowledge arrived to us after several centuries of modifications, additions, deletions, is considered as the Aptopadesha. So Agama is the term mostly preferred by Ayurvedic Acharyas. So there are several references highlighting the importance of Agama. Idam Agama Siddhatval Pratyaksha Bhaladarshanal Mandrabal Samprayoktavyam Navimamsyam Kathanchana. So in the concluding verses of Ashtanga Hridaya, Vagbhada says, Idam Agama Siddhatval. Whatever knowledge I have documented is derived from Agama. Pratyaksha Bhala Darshanat. It can be tested and experimented to have a faith in this knowledge system. So similarly, Agama is actually validated, documented knowledge. Now the Aptas are not here, they have documented for us. So what is available in authentic text can also be considered as Aptopadesha or Agama. So they can be taken for granted. Tasmal Tishtel Tumadiman Agame Naja Hedushu. So in a context, Acharya Susrita says that Sahasrena Abhihedunam Nambashthadir Virechayil. Ambashtadi, the group of drugs mentioned in Ambashtadi Ganam, will not cause any loose motion, any purgation, because it is already documented that it will relieve Adhisara, it will relieve loose motions. So it is already documented. So no need of any further discussions in that. Sahasrena Abhiheduna, whatever proof, whatever evidence you come up with, these drugs will not cause any purgation. So Agama has in such a way, Susada highlights the importance of Agama. So in a forenoon session, we had a discussion of this statistics, employment of statistics in research. So we don't have much evidences on the mathematical perspectives of statistics. But nowadays, it is considered that the research proposal is acceptable only if it is statistically amenable. It is especially in clinical research, whether we can do some statistic exercise in the outcome, only then it is accepted as a for research. But the Dr. J.S.R. Prasad explained it as jadi, with the concept of jadi, generalization. All the experiences are generalized. Later I had a discussion with Dr. M. Prasad. So there are exemptions. That is the problem. So one question was asked during the discussion, how many number of positive experiences are needed to have a generalization? That is a question. How many positive observations are needed that this drug cures this disease? So that is a question. But I think there is no need of any number in that case. While discussing with Dr. M. Prasad, after that, there are exceptions. But that exceptions are documented at that time itself, and the cause for that exemption is also documented, found out. That is the way of research in Ayurveda, I feel. So, generally in modern science, generalizations come first, and that is applied to the real life situation. There are also some points raised against the COVID vaccination. So some generalizations are found out with the minimum number of positive observation, and that is approved to the real world situation, to the society. Then we find several exceptions. But I think in Ayurveda, we don't have any evidence what I say. But in Ayurveda, the exemptions are documented immediately, and the causes behind that exemption are also documented, and that comes up out along with the outcome of the research. There are some references in the text are supportive to this view. So a researcher should become an apta. So whatever all the researchers should read the qualities of apta and try to imbibe them. Then the problem with nowadays is that the aptas are not available. Their documented data books are available with us. So we have to interpret the word, the meaning of the word. That is a problem. The author is not with us, and the text come to us through several centuries, through scribal errors can be there, or some pages may be missing in the manuscript. So many problems. So there is no commentaries available. So we have to understand the word meaning of mentioned in the text. So for that, this is the general principles. Our Shakti Graham Vyakarana Upamana Kopshapta Vakyal Vyavaharadascha Vakyasya Sheshal Vivrader Vadanti Sannithyada Siddhapadasya Vritha. Shakti Graham. Shakti means the power of meaning. Shaktam Padam. Asmat Padat Ayam Artha Bodhavyaha Iti Ishwara Sanketaha Shakti. Shakti is defined as from this word, this meaning may come out. So Ishwara has decided in such a way. That is the definition available in Tarka Sangraha. But in later texts, we find that there are several ways to understand the Shakti of each and every word. Vyakaranam will help us the meaning of each word. Kaphaha. Kena jalena bhalati iti kaphaha. In Sanskrit, each word, each letter has some meaning. So some life principle derived from water is considered as kapha. So this is this can be, we get that knowledge by the etymological derivation of Kena Jalena Bhalati iti kaphaha. So Vyakarana helps us in understanding the word. Upamanam. Sa Dandalasago Nama. Dandalasagam is a disease where the patient is fallen down like a sticks and immobile, becomes immobile like a sticks. So the word itself conveys the meaning. Dandalasakaha. Upamanam. So this is the simile is used to explain the manifestation of that disease. Kosham is a dictionary. From dictionary we get the knowledge. Aptavakyam. Our teacher or an authentic person may say that this is the meaning of this word. So for example, prastham is a measurement, unit of measurement in Ayurveda. Prastham is nearly 1.5 liter. But in the context of some purificatory treatment, prastham has a different meaning. We cannot take it as 1.5 liter. So Vamaneja Swartha Trayodashabalam Prasthamahur Manirishana. Really it is 16 palas. One prastham means 16 palas. But in some contexts, its meaning is 13.5. That is mentioned by commentators. So Aptavakyam is also necessary to have an idea of the meaning of a knowledge. Vyavaharam. What is practiced? That is also important. In matra, dose of certain medicines, textbook gives some dose, but in practice it is very lesser dose. So that is avyavahara. Vakyasya sheshat. From the whole sentence, if one word is missing, we can understand the total sentence. So the meaning of one word we can assume from the other words of in the sentence. Vivriti or commentary. Kadu means pungent taste. Kadu, eru. So haridra kadu aktarada. In the context of pittajwara, kadu rasa is felt in the tongue according to the text. There, the kadu is interpreted as tikta, bitter. So, because of the context, it should be mean bitter taste. That is mentioned in commentaries. Sannithyataha. So, from the words, accompanying words, we can assume the meaning of some meanings. Kashaya. Kashaya means astringent. Kashaya rasam is a taste. But it can also mean decoction, kvadha. So that meaning we will get from the accompanying words. We will get examples I am not giving. So Aptopadesha can also be tested because we are applying the knowledge in a different desha and kala. Desha, everything is affected by desha and kala, time and place. Only Ishvara is exempt from this desha and kala. So to apply a science to a particular place and period, it has to be modified to the current period. So Aptopadesha can be tested and it can be experimented also. So through this, so that is why several researches are done based upon already validated knowledge. So pratyaksha or perception through senses or it can mean observation. So all the 5 indriyas are employed in pratyaksha. The process and the outcome both are termed as pratyaksha. The process with which process of observation and the outcome of observation both are named as pratyaksha here. And all these 5 senses we use Sravanam, Sparshanam, Darshanam, Rasanam, Krananam. No need of explain. I think all the words are familiar to you. Atma Pratyaksham and Indriya Pratyaksham. Some texts are classifying. I think especially Vedanta texts classify that Sukha, Dukha, similar, are perceived by Atma, not by Manas. But according to Ayurveda, in Charaka also we find that this classification, Atma Pratyaksham and Indriya Pratyaksham. But generally, mind is also considered as an Indriya or a sense, Andhakaranam, in Ayurveda. But Vedantins reject reject the mind as an Indriya. So they consider Atma Pratyaksha, Sukha, Dukha, etc. are perceived directly by the Atma, so not by through any Indriyas or mind. But Ayurveda consider Indriya, Ubhayatmakam Manaha. We have 5 Jnanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas, and mind is considered in between or both Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. So of course, in current days, objectivity is the hallmark of science. So Pratyaksha Pramanam is considered of supreme importance. So in Yoga Pariksha and Yogi Pariksha also Ayurveda employs this Pratyaksha Pramana. Sarvaihi Indriyehi Sarvan Indriyarthan Pariksheta. Indriyartha means Shabda is the Indriyartha of the sense of hearing. Sparsham Rupam, Rasam, and Gantham. These are the 5 indriyas, arthas related to 5 senses. So, we are looking for the 5 indriyarthas in the body of the individual. How the Shabda exists in the body. Shabda, there is Shabda in the body as the sounds of heart or the sound of contractions of stomach. So, all these indriya, all these sense objects or indriyarthas has to be examined through the indriyas of Vaidya. So, that is why this Shadvidha Pariksha, Panjendriya Pariksha, Sarvaihi Indriyahi Sarvan Indriyarthan Pariksheta. So, this may be applicable in other knowledge systems also. So, there are some obstacles in using Pratyaksha. So, if something is very minute, Adhisannigarshat, Adhiviprakarshat, Avaranat, Karana Dorbalyal, Manoanavasthat, Samana Abhiharad, Abhibhavada, these Sauchmyal, Pratyaksha Anubalapti. We cannot employ Pratyaksha in these conditions, or we will not get the results if we employ from this Pratyaksha, Adhisannigarsham. We cannot see the arteries or blood vessels in our eyes because it is too much nearer. It is too much near to us. Adi Viprakarsha, if it is too much away from us, like stars, we cannot perceive through the senses. Avaranam, when it is covered with something, we cannot perceive it directly. Karana Dorbalyam, if any disability to senses, that also affects the Pratyaksha. Mano Anavastha, the presence of mind is also important. Samana Abhiharam, we cannot see the light of a candle during sunlight, during daytime. So, Samana Abhiharam, the light of the sun rays will affect. Also, Abhibhavam, Adi Sauchmyam, all these are affecting the perception through our indriyas. So, we may use some instruments to overcome these limitations. So, Adi Sauchmya we cannot see, so we have to use some microscope, or Adi Viprakrishtam. So, then we can use a telescope which are away. So, the limitations of all the senses or indriyas we can overcome with instruments, modern instruments. Then comes Anumanam, Anu Paschad Miyade. So, Anu, after Pratyaksha. So, Pratyaksha is important to all the Pramanas. Without Pratyaksha, other Pramanas will not work. So, Anumana is after Pratyaksha. After some Pratyaksha, we can use this Anumana. Then Pararthanumanam, Swarthanumanam, and Dr. J.S.R. Prasad explained this Pararthanumanam through the Panja Aveva Vakyas. It is something convincing others what we have known, what we have, our knowledge is to be convinced to others. For that we use this Pararthanumanam. This is also more important in research. Pradijna, Hetu, Udaharanam, Upanayan, Nigamanam, all these are important in research also. Similarly, Puravat, Sheshavat, this classification is also important. Something happened later, something which will occur in future, that also can be assumed by this Puravat Anumanam. When we see clouds in the sky, we will infer that the rain will come. And similarly, when flower blossoms, we can assume that there was bud in the tree or plant. So similarly, Puravat and Sheshavat Anumanas are also important. So in Sanskrit literary research also this will be very much of important. The impact of a current literature, current work in forthcoming literature, that can be assumed as a Sheshabat Anumanam, or impact of a particular text in later textbooks. So that can be considered as Purvavat Anumanam. So similar way we can employ these methods also in research. So this definition of Tarka or Anumana is also very much related to research process. Avijñāde arthe. To explore an unknown phenomenon or principle. Karanopavattitaha tattvajnanartham uhaha tarkaha. Karanopavattitaha. Karanam, with enough evidence or proof. Upapatti, relevance. We are looking for tattvajnanartham. We are exploring a particular phenomenon. That inference is also called tarkam. So that is why the Nyaya Darshanam is also called Tarka Shastra. So that is also very much related, this definition also very much related to the research. Yukti is a pramana postulated by Acharya Charaka. It differs very much from Anumana. Anumana, there is a single causative factor. From smoke we infer fire, dhumavatva. From dhuma we infer agni. But in Yukti there are so many hedus, bahukarana yokachaha. And also in Anumana we have an example. So yatha mahanasavat. In kitchen we have seen the association of smoke with fire several times. But in Yukti, there we may not be having a particular example. So in Anumana there may be a single Karya-Karana relation, but Yukti may be a combination of several cause-effect relationship. Jala-akarshana bijartu samyogat sasya sambhava. While assessing the harvest, we have to assess how much paddy we will get this year. So for that we have considered several features. How was the irrigation this year? How was the rain this year? How fertilizers were used? Whether the pesticides, pests were affected the harvest. All these things we have to consider to infer, to assess the harvest of a particular time period. So there may not be a similar experience in earlier. So there may not be an example. So several cause-effect relationship we have to employ in a particular situation. So this is the idea behind the origination of Yukti Pramana, which is postulated by Charaka. I think there are several discussions in Nyaya Darshana about whether Yukti should be accepted or not. But in Ayurveda, it has to be accepted. While assessing a prognosis of a disease, we have to see whether this disease is curable or not. We have to assess several factors. How the severity of the disease, how the patient, whether the patient is able to implement all the therapeutic measures, the efficiency of Vaidya, the qualities of availability of medicines, all this we have to consider to assess the prognosis of a particular disease. So this is very much important in the Yukti Pramana is very much important in the field of Ayurveda. That is why Charaka. So I think in the history of Indian philosophy, Surendra Nath Banerjee or Gupta, somebody has written. So he highlighted this praised Charaka for the postulation, for the idea of Yukti Pramana. So similarly, we can have in the field of Sanskrit also, how a particular period can be considered as a classical period. So there may be several scholars in the same period. There was support from the rulers and the well-being of the society. All these may contribute to the a classical period. So was Gupta period is considered as a classical period of Sanskrit literature. Why? So all these can be considered as an example for Yukti Pramana. Anumanam is also important. So this is actually we know we can identify cow, but a wild cow we don't know. Gavayaha. So in the forest we met with an animal which is similar to cow, but also it is different from cow. So that is the identification. With Upamana, we identify that. Similar is the several cases in identifying that can be a mutilated text. We got a manuscript. Some pages are missing. So the beginning pages and last pages we are missing. So how we can identify this text? So if the language style of Upanishad, if you know that, so we can look whether this is an Upanishad or is it an Brahmana or Veda or a Kavya, that we can identify. Even though we don't know this text, whether it have the features of a particular branch of literature, we can identify. That can be considered as an example. So this much I can present. My knowledge in Pramanas are very limited, and I consider this actually a learning process. I think the scholars, science scholars here will add and modify or correct whatever presented by me. Thank you.
Was on Pramanas. I just wanted to connect this one to the previous question which was discussed in this workshop. See, it was about the use of statistical methods. But when we go through the inference pramana or anumana pramana, the Nyaya system has used or it introduces 5 upayas to conclude a vyapti. Am I correct, sir? Yeah. So if you form a general statement like wherever there is smoke, there is fire, that statement, which is called an universal statement or the statement of invariable concomitance, it is formed through 5 or 6 upayas. So I just remembered that when you used that Shakti Grahopaya. So there are Vyapti Grahopayas, which is Anvaya, Vyatireka, Bhuyo Darshana, then Upadhi Nirasa, then Samanya Lakshana is there, and Tarka, it's also there. So Anvaya means if 2 things agree in their presence, then we can conclude that this one implies that. Then there is Vyatireka. We can say if one's absence is invariably accompanied by the others, we can say in a general statement that these two have some relations. So Anvaya and Vyatireka actually are similar to the J.S. Mill's methods of presence in agreement, or they are present together or they are absent together. So that is a method that is used in modern sciences also. And the next thing is Bhuyo Darshana. So this is where I just wanted to clarify. So Bhuyo Darshana means repeated observations. So actually, the Nyaya system uses a way where repeated observations should show that these 2 things are in relation. If at least one instance shows that this is false, then that general statement cannot happen. So if somebody is having a discussion with another person and somebody is using a general statement, that another person has used just one counter example to demolish this general statement. So if you consider in that way, The modern statistics take 90% probability, 99% probability, etc. But Nyaya gives way for nothing like that, and only 10% general statements are accepted. If you can give one counter example, it will just avoid that general statement. So that is one thing. And the problem occurs only when the Vyapti is ascertained through Samanya Lakshana Pratyaksha, which is just their own epistemology and to which other systems may differ. So I think in that way we can take, even if statistical methods are not there, even if mathematical calculations are not there, they are not ready to give up any one counter example. It's not 99.9% certainty, it is actually 100% certainty. Thank you.
Today I read that a synonym, I don't know, actually somebody has to explain, a synonym for Nyaya Darshana, it is Bhaktika Shastra, that uncovers the faults, something like that. If anybody can explain. Bhaktika Shastra. That because Nyaya Darshana uncovers the fallacies. Anviksha is interpreted Anvikshige. I think Chanakya has used Anvikshige in the context of Nyaya Darshana. Anviksha is interpreted as revalidation. Again and again doing the experiment, something like Bhuyo Darshana. Prameya is something to be explored. Pramidhi is the process. Pramidhi is the outcome.
Outcome is what we have started in such a Prameya, so the outcome should be Prameya only, right? I mean, why is it called as Pramiti?
What Sir was trying to explain is Triputi. Pramata, Pramiti, Pramana. So Pramanam is a means to acquire the valid cognition. Okay? Pratyaksha is a Pramana, perception. Anumana, inference is a Pramana. And Upamana, analogy is another Pramana. If you confine to Nayayikas only, as our friend was telling, verbal testimony is another Pramana. Using Pramana, you are achieving Prameya. Prameya is nothing but the Vishaya. If I am seeing a red flower in front of me, that is a Prameya for me. So, I am the Pramata, the one who is cognizing. That is why this is called Triputi, which is equally accepted in Vedanta and Nyaya. I think I am happy to see a very good Nyaya scholar amongst the audience. He knows it better than any of us here because he is quoting from the core of Nyaya. So this is very, very important. Apart from the Miti Matrumeya, the Triputi, Pramata, Pramana, Prameya and Pramiti. Pramiti is the Jnana, which we call as cognition. These four are important, but without these three, the fourth one cannot come. Pramiti is nothing but the cognition, knowledge. I am acquiring that there is a substance called flower, which is red in color, in front of me. I am cognizing it. So, that knowledge is acquired by me. I am the Pramata. I am the one who is cognizing this. Prama is basically knowledge. Knowledge. There is a substance. I am identifying its existence. I am identifying its color also. Such a way, its properties are known to me. This is the content of the jnana. So, this is Vishaya. That is, there is a Vishayata. Nayayikas included some new relations when there is a Lakshana, Lakshanata, Laksha, Lakshyata, Vishaya, Vishayata, Avachedya, Avachedyata, Avachedaka, Avachedakata. A default dharma quality comes and sits into that. As he said rightly, this is a world created by Nayayikas. We have to enter their world to enjoy. Otherwise, always it is frightening. Maybe as he rightly mentioned, better we confine this to Nayayikas.
up to certain extent. I think we are at a comfortable zone.
Yes. We are talking about validated again with the observance, the pratyaksha. We are essentially negating the validity of the pramana of Shabda Pramana itself, right? Because now the Shabda Pramana is dependent on the validation of by the Pratyaksha Pramana.
No, not required. If you are again revalidating through Pratyaksha, why you are giving individual status of a Pramana to Shabda? Not required at all. Because see, ultimately,
but Ayurveda in most of the cases, it was mentioned that Pratyaksha takes precedence.
That is why, in order to consider a thing to be Shabda Pramana, who is giving us this knowledge? An Apta. If an Apta, Rajastamobhya Nirmukta, that's what Charaka mentioned. Beautiful definition which is not available in any of the darshanas. Wonderful qualities have been attributed to this Apta. Should be devoid of this Raga, Dvesha, Rajas, Tamas, etc. These are bad qualities. Apta is giving this knowledge. That is why no more questions asked.
It is an independent Pramana. It is independent Pramana in itself. It doesn't need.
Yes. And one more thing I would like to extend this for the information of other friends from other backgrounds. Citations. Scopus Index currently accepts a paper only with citations. Without valid citation, a paper cannot be accepted. So what is that? Nothing but Shabda Pramana. You are quoting a previous researcher who has done a work already in that area. You are taking him as an Apta because that is validated by a peer group of reviewers. Such a way, these citations are nothing but the Shabda Pramana for me. Only thing is that the equation is missing. Science does Pratyaksha, science does Anumana, science also does Upamana, science also does Shabda. But how many of us are ready to accept this? When I say Pramana, Primiti, all this, it may be very foreign terminology. But when you try to come to this point, definitely it makes sense. Conceptually, they are same. That is why Shabda doesn't require any revalidation. Shabda itself is a Pramana. Karanam Pramana. Prama is knowledge. It is a means to acquire the knowledge. That is why these Pramanas are invariably used in modern science. Any science students are there? Probably. Anirudh, if you want to say any, I don't know. Anybody? So, any comments?
I have a doubt to ask here.
Yes, madam.
See, you were saying that if an Apta provides the Shabda Pramanam, there are no more questions. Accepted. But when you apply this whole argument to research work, you don't... See, first of all, research articles which are written themselves are seen as based on sometimes fake data. And they are withdrawn. That whole area we will leave for the time being. But let us say that we are working with human beings. And I'm collecting evidence. I will not have Aptas who give me evidence. But, I'm talking from my area or from our area, applicable probably to all the humanities at least, that if a student says, I have not understood this, or this is difficult for me, that is a Shabda Pramanam from that student. Must it be accepted like that?
No, it is not Shabda Pramana.
Yeah, then how do you look at data if you apply this argument to data?
That is his own personal experience. That is Pratyaksha Anubhava. It is not understood by me if somebody says, that is a direct experience.
Okay.
And that experience may be faulty. As Bhavabhuti says, Vitarate Guru Prajne Vidya Metheva Tatha Jade. Natukare Tayo Jnana Shiktin Karot Chapahantiva. A teacher imparts the knowledge equally to all the students in the class. Some of the students are dullards. Just because of their dullness, we cannot find fault in the teaching of the teacher. Like rain is raining everywhere, It rains in the sea, it rains in the river, it rains in the drainage also. If raining in the sea, it becomes a pearl. If it's raining in the drainage water, it becomes a useless water. So that way, his anubhava may be faulty. I cannot take him to be correct. That is one thing. Second is, he is not apta. He is only sharing his personal experience.
So, in the area of research work, who would you recognize as an apta for Shabda Pramanam?
Apta here, essentially for university students, the research supervisor.
The research supervisor.
He or she must be knowledge. If qualified, just by having the tag like professor.
Yeah, but that is like
sense.
saying teacher.
There should be knowledge.
See, that is like saying the kinds of teacher, highest level is the apta.
Yes. But here in the modern science, even Springer-like journals, I think Nature and Lancet kind of famous topmost journals in science, they have retracted some of the papers.
Exactly.
What happened to those papers? Why? Because the peer review, it is not the fault of the peer reviewers. As you mentioned rightly, the data is manipulated. Today morning there was a discussion about statistical evidences and other things. That happened with many people. In South Korea, a doctor has claimed that I could able to produce the embryos in the laboratory artificially. And that man has been given a lot of awards by the government. He was member in many councils. After a couple of years, people came out and they revealed that he is hiring our homes. It is not artificial. All his awards are retracted. Papers are retracted. He was in fact imprisoned. Still, I think he is in jail. So, these kind of manipulations we don't accept. So, aptatva must be defined based on such grounds. Whether the person is really apta or not. On what grounds you are making somebody as apta. Maybe on the scientific parameters, there is a problem.
So then you must go back to only pratyaksham. But you may not actually, I'm only looking at the role, the job of this workshop is to help somebody like me understand what we can get from, there's plenty.
Yes.
From Indian knowledge systems to apply to what we know today. And where will these pramanams, at what level can I take them?
Everywhere, madam. As soon as I get up early in the morning, I am listening the sound of a bus which I is supposed to catch to reach my office. I am only listening the sound of the bus, horn of the bus. I did not see the bus. I did not perceive it. So I am making an inference.
Yes.
In very trivial issues onwards, we are implementing pramanas in everyday life. Not only academics, I mean to say. And not to say about medical science in Ayurveda. So, Satyanarayana garu wanted to say something.
Then I just want to add on to highlight our height of doubting the Shabda Pramana in our Pramanas, types of Pramanas. Just I want to discuss one example. We are all, even though we are from different fields, we can understand the water molecule consists of H2O. Everybody accept this, no? It contains 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Anybody differs with me? Huh? If anybody nobody is differing. Then why you are not differing? Have you seen it? Have you ever had pratyaksha pramana for this? Or is it inference? Somebody has to answer. From where we got this knowledge and we are accepting? Please. Yeah. Yes.
They are perceiving it intuitively.
Okay.
Not direct perception.
Oh, how can you say that?
No.
No, how can you say that? My straight question. How can you say that?
Okay, so when you go to any Indian text,
Yeah.
you can see who is apta.
Yeah.
So apta understands the reality in direct way, not through sense experience.
What is direct way?
Direct way, it is mentioned in that Indian systems only.
What is direct way?
Direct way is not this perception, sir.
No, direct way is pratyaksha pramana.
No.
That is why qualities are mentioned by
No intuition.
Yeah. So that is why
personal character.
No, what I understand is direct means pratyaksha pramana.
Just one second, just for concern. So what happens here is that you are talking about the well-known researchers, and when we
Who is well-known researchers? No. See, the Vada is like this only. I'm not. I have not stood here to prove myself or prove yourself.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Right.
So Prasad sir was saying that when we cite other people, it is like Shabda Pramana. So my question is, when you are citing other people, their works were built on the research methods which are accepted in the whole universe. Okay, so you cannot connect him as an Apta, because in Indian tradition, Aptas are people having special characters who can understand reality in their own way. Those ways are mentioned in Indian tradition itself.
Realities, understanding of realities, I agree. But there is a distinction between our academic research and direct kind of research.
Yeah.
I talk about essentially we need to make a distinction between pravritti and nivritti.
Yes, but ma'am
Which path we are talking?
But ma'am was talking about how to find an Apta or how to find such persons. But I'm saying we cannot connect the Shabda Pramana to the modern world. That's
no, it is approximate. See, Professor was also trying to tell in the morning, many terminologies cannot be translated so easily.
Yeah.
For example, Vata Pitta Kapha, the fundamental foundation blocks of Ayurveda, how can we translate into bile, wine, and what else?
So that is completely
fire,
different
etc.
from this term Shabda Pramana.
No,
I
that's
just
the problem.
wanted to say this. Shabda Pramana, the scriptural testimony, or from the trustworthy persons, those persons and their way of knowing is separately mentioned. And even Vaisheshika system, which is an ally of Nyaya, has not given Shabda Pramana as an independent Pramana. So those differences are there. So when we connect a Shabda Pramana, we have to see that person has understood it in another way, maybe Paroksha Jnana.
I got your
Paroksha Jnana.
Sure.
But
I got your point.
The research today happens using today's methods only. So we cannot say that when you quote such a person's work, it is a Shabda Pramana. So that was my point.
But still, those standards may not be applicable in current times.
Yeah, so we just
conceptually some of the things can be taken
I think we are unnecessarily connecting the Indian terms to the modern time.
Then how can you make them convinced?
Which about Shabda Pramana?
Just you can give an example.
No, is it about Shabda Pramana?
I just take Shabda Pramana only.
So there are different Indian traditions, Indian schools. Some schools have accepted the Shabda Pramana and some schools haven't accepted. So those who have accepted Shabda Pramana.
No. Why should I go with other schools? What about me?
Correct. You are correct.
No. Only later now. Only later. Yeah.
No.
See, Shabda Pramana is mentioned as dependent Pramana, not an independent Pramana.
Nyaya and Vaisheshika system both are
combined.
Combined. Then we don't tell that
it's not about the separation. I was talking that there were rejections or there were objections.
Only one.
That's
Later
enough.
on, then accept.
That's enough. There are Charvakas also.
Charvaka is the Avaidika Darshana.
So,
Charvaka is the Avaidika Darshana.
So we will just, reject him.
No,
No, Charvaka is part and parcel of our system. We cannot reject.
So
we are not.
We cannot remove Samba from the
We
list.
are not rejecting them.
So I was just explaining this and you are connecting this to many things. Okay. So Shabda Pramana is mentioned by the systems and those systems have some higher level of knowledge. And those people who have higher level of knowledge, they are considered as maybe yogins, maybe Tirthankaras, maybe the Bodhisattvas, etc. And their knowledge are considered as Aptas. Okay, Aptavakya. So when we say like that, those people have such a special level of knowledge, like Kevala Jnana in Jainism. And for other systems, it is there. So only according to that knowledge, we can say Aptas.
No, I totally agree with your point, but my perspective is something like this. Let me quote an example. This university is one of the best universities in Asia. Okay? Based on what? QS rankings. Okay? How QS rankings are done? Anybody know here? Anybody? As much as I know, of course, that is for the NAC grading other things. As much as I know, Scopus citations are the only criteria to adjudge a university to be having some rank. So in this university, for example, there is a department of School of Chemistry. There are 1 or 2 faculty who regularly publish at least 2 to 5 papers in a month or something like that. So the number of citations carry them a reputation. Accordingly, the university also getting the reputation. Based on those number of citations only, these universities adjudged are the best. But what about humanities? What about social sciences? They have not considered this point at all. The only parameter to adjudge this university is to be one of the best, top 10 or whatever it is. This parameter. Can you agree with this? What about the contributions of humanities and social science and fine arts?
So I think
that is a wrong kind of calculation.
Who is just
it's not healthy. First of all, I mean to say,
standing for the modern views. It's not like that. Thank you.
So that is why we never try to. This ghoda or dusra kya hai? Horse and donkey. We cannot put together. That is why we try to equate wherever possible. See, we are never against the, I think, with apologies to my colleague Sridip Paji, tradition. We are never against the tradition. At the same time, we are never against the modernity. So, can we go together? There is a Pangvantha Nyaya. There is a handicapped person who cannot walk and reach a destination. Same time, another person is blind. How do they reach the same destination? Yeah, he's sitting on the shoulder of this person because he could able to see. He guides. And Dagdha Ashwaratha Nyaya. Somebody's chariot is born up. Somebody's horse is died. Put together these two, you reach the destination. That must be the approach. I appreciate your views. At the same time, can we go together? Can we integrate the knowledge systems? That is what you name it as IKS these days, Indian knowledge system. So we are nothing against. Not about the knowledge, not about the religion, anything. Anybody else?
Yes,
Professor,
sir.
Any comments you would like to make?
Yeah, so as far as my understanding is concerned, Shabda Pramana is used only in the context of something. It's about the Atma Gnana, something related to Atma, Paramatma, Brahman. We shouldn't be using it in the context of Bhautika Gnana. Like in Bhautika Gnana, there may be there are different experiences and all. So I think maybe it's better if we restrict the usage of the word the Shabda Pramana, like that Pramana, something only to the spiritual or the Atma Gnana.
Yes, daily experience, Anirudh. Daily experience. My son is going near to the fire and putting his finger in the fire. Beta mat karo. It will burn your finger. When I say, I am apta to him. This fellow is not heeding my word and went and burned off his finger.
But that person, your son
Aptatva,
can experience like
the quality of aptatva is various levels. Another example. For example, great scholars like Murali sir and Prasad sir are here. They are very eminent scholars in India. I also work in Ayurveda. They are original, I am duplicate. I am not an apta to you. That's what I mean to say. Whatever they say, that makes sense for me as a student of Ayurveda. Whereas you cannot take my word. I may be half knowledge. That's it. Different levels of aptatva can be defined. Even today, at every moment. Why do we separate Shabda Pramana? Not required at all. Aptatva can be attributed to any situation, any person. Prasad sir.
Yeah, I think that is important. Actually, the morning we were discussing, let me see just one simple passage. I understood your spirit. From Charaka Samhita, we were discussing it in the morning also. So I think, can I just go through that passage once? Yes. There's something like, I think definitely what Sriram was mentioning. See, there is one interesting observation. Tatra aptagamaha tavad vedaha is taken for granted, and that is what others were also mentioning. Tatra aptagamaha tavad vedaha yascha anyaha api kaschid vedarthad aviparitaha. So that makes the context the same. The prakarana should be same. Vedarthad aviparitaha parikshakaihi pranitaha should be properly and thoroughly analyzed by the parikshaka. Shishtanumataha Loganugraha pravrittaha. That is also the beauty of that statement. Loganugraha pravrittaha shastravadaha sacha aptagamaha. So I think we are trying to accommodate a larger audience and a larger stream of scholars who are working for the common cause, Loganugraha pravrittaha, but contextually similar, having a common thread, riding hidden maybe between them, making the context same. And then I think apart from the authentic textbooks which are already there, newer ones which assimilates this spirit of that Vedam, that Jnanam, can also be included in the Aptopadesha or Shabdam. So this is from Charaka Samhita. This is not my version. This is from Charaka Samhita. So from Charaka's time itself, they have tried to accommodate the newer versions of observations, but with some criteria. That Veda need not be the Veda which is Rigyaju, Samam and Adharvam, but it is knowledge. So anything that is important, because otherwise if the context is different, there may be differences in opinion. So in the same context, so that we understand between us what we are all referring to, then if the other criteria are also fulfilled, they are also becoming Aptopadesha. So we get a broader canvas to see things in a better light. Yeah, but Shabdam as a Pramanam is similar to Aptopadesham. Isn't it? Yes, because Shruti has got again, according to Adhikarana, it will have different meanings. I think the Shastra at any time should not be a stagnant pond, because the water will get rotten. It should be a flowing stream. We should be self-refining, assimilating all the new waters and do some sort of a self-rectification on, and should get purified again and again.
And
it should not become a stagnant pond.
Supplement your statement. Shastram jnapakam natu karakam.
Yes.
Whatever happens
that is also
in the world,
important.
reflected in the documented literature in Shastra. Shastra never gives us an injunction. Shastram jnapakam. It only reminds us what is happening. Natu karakam. It never makes us to do something as vidhi.
Yes, sir. Yes, that is also important.
Sir, this is a discussion on Purvamimamsa. Really, a personal level, I am bored of these people, Purvamimamsakas. Because karma anurupani puraphalani. Karma itself is God for them. Shabdamatra devata. Words themselves are God for them. If I utter a mantra, I am doing a sacrifice and it is fetching me some result, apurva, then svarga, etc. Then they question why God is required for me. The words themselves are giving the fruit. They are in fact Narishwaravadis. We talked about Charvaka. I like Charvaka better than this Purvamimamsakas. But unfortunately, they are part of Astika Darshanas. So, I'm sorry, it is my personal opinion.